Did Meghan Markle just cross a line that no one expected? Did a simple video posted to Instagram stories ignite yet another storm between the Sussexes and the royal family? Picture this: the glittering streets of Paris during Fashion Week, a sleek black limousine gliding silently past the Pont Alexander III, the Pont des Invalides, and the infamous Pont d'Alma tunnel. Inside, Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, casually puts her feet up, stretches them out, and records the moment, unaware, or perhaps daringly aware, that the world is watching. This isn't just a limousine ride in a foreign city. This is a car passing the very place where Princess Diana, the most beloved royal of her time, tragically lost her life in 1997. And for some, it feels like a line that has been crossed, a disrespect that cuts far deeper than the surface-level optics of fashion and celebrity. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The reactions were instantaneous. Social media erupted within minutes of the video's appearance. X and Instagram users responding with shock, fury, and heartbreak. People who have loved Diana for decades could not believe their eyes. One comment read, "Her trip to Paris proves that all the Sussexes' drama about car chases and their lives was fake. It was all for the court case. Meghan just trashed Princess Diana's memory." Another declared, "Meghan Markle is a demon. For her to purposely drive over where beloved Princess Diana was in a car crash, with her feet up, and to film it, she needs a mental asylum. How disrespectful and low can she go?" And yet another voice of disbelief said, "Every time I pass the bridges near Pont d'Alma, I can't help but remember Princess Diana." Meghan Markle's feet video just tells you how much she cares about Harry's mother. She is either a complete moron or evil, no other option. The public reaction was brutal, unfiltered, and emotional. A reflection of how deeply Diana's legacy is etched in people's hearts. But what makes this situation even more explosive is that it isn't happening in isolation. This video is not merely a moment of questionable taste. It touches the very core of royal tradition, family loyalty, and public expectation. For decades, the royal family has been meticulous about protocol, respect, and decorum, especially concerning the memory of Princess Diana. Every royal engagement, every public appearance, every word spoken has been weighed against the immense shadow Diana cast over the monarchy. To many, Meghan's actions feel like a deliberate disregard, an act that shakes not only public trust, but also royal stability. And it comes at a time when the Sussexes have been walking a tightrope between celebrity status and royal responsibility, a balance that has often been fraught with tension and controversy. So why now? Why Paris? Why a video of Meghan with her feet up in a limo? The answer is layered. Paris Fashion Week is a global stage, a glittering hub of media attention, celebrities, and high-profile socialites. Meghan Markle, ever the figure of fascination, knew she would be seen. But whether this was a calculated move, a moment of obliviousness, or an unintentional misstep, the impact is undeniable. The location amplifies the controversy. The Pont d'Alma tunnel is not just a road. It is hallowed ground in the collective memory of millions who adored Diana. Every car that passes carries the invisible weight of her story, her legacy, her tragic end. And Meghan, in that fleeting Instagram story, became the center of a storm that is now sweeping across royal circles, media headlines, and social feeds worldwide. Inside the royal family, reactions are reportedly strong. Sources indicate that Prince William, Diana's eldest son and future king, has taken particular notice of the incident. Reports suggest that he has vowed to strip Meghan of all titles should she continue to engage in behavior that he perceives as disrespectful. Words like vile and manipulative narcissist have been used in some circles to describe her, and the suggestion is that, at the very least, Meghan will revert to using the Mountbatten-Windsor name if a divorce with Harry were to occur. While these words have not been confirmed officially, the mere circulation of such strong sentiments underscores the gravity of the situation. This is more than a PR nightmare. It is a potential family schism with implications for royal protocol, succession, and public perception. For the public, the outrage is personal as well as cultural. Princess Diana was not just a royal figure. She was a global icon, a mother who captured hearts, a woman whose life and death resonated with millions around the world. Every action taken by her family, and by extension, those associated with them, is scrutinized through a lens of deep emotion and historical significance. Meghan's video, in this context, becomes more than a social media post. It is perceived as a violation of a collective memory, an affront to decades of reverence, and a catalyst for intense public debate. Questions abound. Did Meghan truly understand the significance of the location? Was this an oversight, or something more deliberate? What does this mean for Harry's position, for Meghan's standing, and for the broader royal image? And then there's the court of public opinion, which is swift, unrelenting, and often unforgiving. Within hours of the video going live, hundreds of reactions flooded the internet. People questioned Meghan's motives, criticized her choices, and dissected every frame of the video. Analysts weighed in on TV shows, social media personalities went live to break down the situation, and headlines screamed of disrespect, shocking behavior, and royal scandal. This level of scrutiny is not new for Meghan or Harry, but what sets this apart is the intersection of celebrity culture and the sacred memory of Princess Diana, a combination that is proving combustible. The emotional weight is compounded by the timing. Meghan Markle, now 44, has long been a polarizing figure. From the moment she entered royal life, she has been both celebrated and vilified, admired and criticized, lauded for her initiatives and lambasted for her perceived missteps. Every public appearance, every statement, every social media post is analyzed for hidden meaning, intent, and consequence. But this incident in Paris brings all of that tension to a head. It is a moment that seems small in isolation, a limousine ride, a casual stretch, but when framed within the context of history, legacy, and public expectation, it becomes a seismic event. And let's not overlook the optics. The juxtaposition of Meghan's opulent Parisian lifestyle with the solemnity of the Pont d'Alma tunnel is striking. In one frame, you see luxury, leisure, and celebrity allure. In the next, tragedy, memory, and respect for the past. This contrast is what has driven much of the criticism. Social media users have framed the act as careless or malicious, questioning how someone so aware of media attention could appear so flippant near a site of immense historical and emotional significance. As the royal family weighs its response, the world watches. Will this lead to a formal statement from Buckingham Palace? Will Prince William take unprecedented action? Will Meghan address the controversy herself, or will Harry intervene? Every possibility carries weighty implications, not just for public perception, but for the internal dynamics of the family. For those invested in royal affairs, this is a story that blends scandal, history, emotion, and power in equal measure. And so, as the sun set over Paris and Meghan's limousine disappeared into the night, one thing became clear. This moment was more than a simple social media post. It is a flashpoint, a test of boundaries, a challenge to the memory of Princess Diana, and a potential turning point in the ongoing saga of the Sussexes and the royal family. The stage is set, the players are in position, and the world waits with bated breath to see what comes next. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. It all started with a single Instagram story, and in true Meghan Markle fashion, it spread like wildfire. Paris Fashion Week, the pinnacle of high-end glamour, the world's most elite designers, celebrities, and photographers converging under the sparkling lights of the City of Light, became the backdrop for what many are now calling a shocking breach of etiquette, or worse. Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, arrived in style, as always. Cameras captured her stepping out of sleek vehicles, radiant in designer ensembles, embodying the poise and elegance expected of someone of her stature. Yet it was inside the car that the storm began. Imagine the scene: a black limousine, gliding past some of Paris's most iconic landmarks, the Pont Alexander III, the Pont des Invalides, and then approaching the Pont d'Alma tunnel. For the uninitiated, these names might sound like just another map of Paris. But for millions who remember that tragic night in 1997, they carry weight beyond description. The Pont d'Alma tunnel is hallowed ground. It is the site where Princess Diana, Harry and William's beloved mother, met her untimely death. Every angle, every curve, every shadow on those streets evokes memories of a night that shook the world. And in that context, Meghan's Instagram story, relaxed, casual, her feet stretched out, felt jarring, even audacious, to the public eye. The backlash was almost instantaneous. Users on X, Instagram, and TikTok were quick to comment, dissecting every frame. Some called it careless, others malicious. One viral post said, "For her to purposely drive over where beloved Princess Diana was in a car crash, with her feet up, and to film it, she needs a mental asylum. How disrespectful and low can she go?" Another wrote, "Meghan Markle's feet video just tells you how much she cares about Harry's mother. She is either a complete moron or evil. No other option." The optics were undeniable. Here was a royal, a woman who had married into one of the most scrutinized families in history, appearing almost nonchalant near a site that for decades has been treated with reverence. And while some defenders claimed she was unaware of the camera's angle, others were far less forgiving, painting the image as a deliberate display of disrespect. Why does this matter so much? Because it isn't just a celebrity blunder, it's a symbolic violation. Every member of the royal family, historically, has been expected to navigate public spaces with a careful awareness of historical context, legacy, and optics. Princess Diana's memory has been protected, preserved, and elevated over decades, a touchstone for both royals and the public. Meghan's casual posture in a limo, her apparent nonchalance, violated that unspoken code, and for many, it crossed a line. But what makes this incident even more combustible is the fact that Paris Fashion Week is not merely a backdrop, it is a stage. Every frame, every outfit, every gesture is under the microscope of global media. Meghan knows this. She has built her post-royal persona around media engagement, carefully curated public appearances, and the strategic use of social platforms. So whether this video was innocent or intentional, it became amplified, magnified, and dissected in ways that few other actions could have been. Inside royal circles, the significance of such an act cannot be understated. Sources close to Buckingham Palace reportedly watched the incident with growing concern. Prince William, in particular, is said to have taken note, reportedly frustrated that the memory of his mother could be, in his eyes, trivialized or misrepresented. The implications for Harry, Meghan, and the wider royal family are profound. The Sussexes have spent years cultivating a careful narrative around independence, privacy, and social advocacy. But incidents like this threaten to overshadow that narrative, redirecting focus toward controversy, disrespect, and potential breaches of royal protocol. The video itself has been analyzed frame by frame. In it, Meghan can be seen sitting back, stretching her legs, the camera capturing the bridges, the glimmering lights reflecting on the Seine below. The story, though short, told a long tale. It was a moment of leisure, but juxtaposed against history, it felt reckless. For many viewers, it became a symbol of perceived entitlement and disregard for history. The very streets of Paris seemed to echo with public disapproval, from outraged social media posts to traditional news outlets questioning the choice of behavior. What is fascinating, and troubling to some observers, is how Meghan's actions contrast sharply with prior royal behavior in similar contexts. Royals, particularly women, have historically navigated sensitive historical sites with deference. From ceremonial visits to careful public statements, the expectation has always been that members of the monarchy demonstrate awareness, restraint, and respect. Meghan, as someone who married into this world, was not merely a celebrity in Paris. She was a representation of centuries of tradition. Her casual demeanor in this particular context felt, to many, like a breach of that unwritten code. And the consequences of this breach were immediate. Headlines emerged within hours. Meghan Markle disrespects Diana's memory at Paris Fashion Week. Royal family furious after Meghan's limousine video. Public outraged over Sussex Duchess near Pont d'Alma. Analysts began discussing not just the optics, but the long-term repercussions for the Sussex brand and the royal family's reputation. Was this a moment that could redefine public perception of Meghan? Could it impact Harry's standing, his engagements, or even the couple's future in the royal fold? Some commentators argued that this incident was emblematic of a larger pattern of behavior. Meghan, they claim, has repeatedly walked a line between celebrity persona and royal responsibility, often courting controversy in ways that amplify her visibility but risk alienating traditionalists. This Paris video, they argue, is the latest in a series of moments where the scales between image, intention, and public sensitivity have tipped unfavorably. Yet there are counterarguments. Defenders of Meghan have suggested that the video may have been innocuous, an innocent gesture captured in a fleeting moment of travel. After all, a limousine ride is private, and Instagram stories are ephemeral. Why interpret casual behavior as intentional disrespect? But the counterpoint remains. When a figure of Meghan's prominence steps into spaces laden with historical and emotional weight, no action is truly neutral. Every gesture is magnified, every frame is interpreted, and every choice carries consequences. The public reaction also illustrates something deeper, a collective reverence for Princess Diana and her enduring influence. Diana was not merely a royal. She was a cultural icon, a symbol of empathy, humanitarianism, and modern royalty. The Pont d'Alma Tunnel is not simply a road. It is a symbol, a site of mourning and remembrance. In that light, Meghan's casual behavior is not just a personal act. It is a public affront to a legacy that millions hold dear. Social media became a battlefield. Tweets, posts, and stories flowed endlessly, dissecting Meghan's demeanor, questioning her intentions, and debating whether the video was a deliberate provocation. Comments ranged from disbelief to outright anger, with some suggesting that Meghan's behavior demonstrated a lack of awareness or empathy. Others framed it as emblematic of her broader relationship with the royal family, suggesting that incidents like this signaled deeper conflicts, unresolved tensions, and potential ongoing clashes between the Sussexes and the Windsors. And yet, amid the controversy, one question remains central. What did Meghan intend? Was this a moment of obliviousness, a careless misstep, or something more calculated? The answer, for now, remains speculative, but the consequences are tangible. Royal observers suggest that this incident could trigger official responses, potentially leading to formal statements, revisions of protocol, or even changes to how Meghan and Harry are perceived both within the royal family and by the public. As Paris Fashion Week continued, the incident grew. Analysts began connecting dots, past controversies, media appearances, legal disputes, and social media strategies, all framing this moment as part of a larger narrative. Meghan's actions, some argue, cannot be viewed in isolation. They are part of a series of calculated public appearances that have consistently positioned her in the spotlight, sometimes at odds with tradition, protocol, and public expectation. The Paris limousine video became not just a single story, but a symbol of an ongoing saga. The clash between modern celebrity and centuries-old monarchy, between personal expression and inherited responsibility. And so, the storm continues to brew. Headlines multiply, social media debates rage, and the royal family watches quietly, calculating, weighing their next move. Meghan Markle, ever the media-savvy figure, may have anticipated some attention, but the intensity, the emotional charge, and the historical resonance of this particular moment were perhaps beyond even her careful calculations. For the public, it is a moment that elicits strong emotional responses. Shock, anger, sadness, and disbelief all intertwine. For the royals, it is a potential crisis, one that tests the balance between personal freedom and institutional expectation, between public fascination and private grief. The limousine has left the tunnel, the story is live, and yet the repercussions are just beginning. The public has formed its opinions, the media has amplified every reaction, and the royal family is preparing to respond. Every viewer, every critic, every historian now watches closely, waiting for the next chapter in this unfolding saga. And as the lights of Paris fade behind the limousine, one thing is clear: the incident at Paris Fashion Week is not over. Far from it. The stakes have never been higher, and what comes next could redefine the relationship between Meghan Markle, the royal family, and the memory of Princess Diana forever. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever passed a place that is more than just a location? Somewhere where history, tragedy, and memory converge in a way that chills your very soul? For millions around the world, the Pont d'Alma Tunnel in Paris is that place. It is not just asphalt and concrete. It is hallowed ground, a site forever etched into the collective consciousness because of the tragic death of Princess Diana on August 31, 1997. And it is precisely this historical weight that makes Meghan Markle's limousine video at Paris Fashion Week so incendiary. The Pont d'Alma tunnel is deceptively ordinary. To the casual observer, it is simply part of Paris's intricate road network, a passage under the Seine connecting districts, a functional piece of the city's infrastructure. But for those who remember that night, for those who love Diana, it is a place of sorrow, reflection, and enduring grief. Princess Diana, accompanied by her partner Dodi Fayed, was fleeing paparazzi in a Mercedes S280 when the car crashed violently inside the tunnel, ultimately taking both their lives. The shockwaves of that night reverberated far beyond Paris. Globally, the world mourned a woman whose charisma, humanitarian work, and personal story had touched hearts across continents. For many, the Pont d'Alma is not just a tunnel. It is a shrine of collective mourning, a scar on the city, and a symbol of lost innocence and tragic fate. So why does Meghan Markle's casual limousine video ignite such fury? Because actions carry meaning and location amplifies it. In the video, Meghan can be seen sitting back, her legs stretched, seemingly at ease, the camera capturing the bridges and the glimmering lights of Paris passing by. The fact that the car passed the Pont d'Alma tunnel, a place synonymous with Diana's death, makes the optics jarring. To many observers, what might have been a benign moment elsewhere becomes an act charged with potential disrespect when placed against such a backdrop. Historical awareness is not merely an expectation for public figures. For members of the royal family, it is practically a requirement. The monarchy operates in a world where every gesture, every public appearance, every travel decision is weighed not just for immediate perception, but for historical resonance. Diana's memory has been carefully preserved, elevated, and guarded for decades. Her image, her legacy, and the circumstances of her death are treated with a level of reverence that transcends the ordinary. And in that context, Meghan's nonchalant video feels, to many, like a breach of an unspoken covenant between the living and the memory of the departed. The emotional impact of the Pont d'Alma tunnel is multifaceted. It is a place of mourning for the royal family, particularly for Princes William and Harry, who lost their mother there. It is a site of pilgrimage for fans, well-wishers, and those who continue to honor Diana's humanitarian legacy. And it is a cultural landmark, symbolizing both the allure and the peril of celebrity, media intrusion, and public fascination. When a figure like Meghan Markle, a woman whose every move is scrutinized and amplified, appears in this space with apparent casualness, the collision of context and action is immediate and explosive. It is not just public sentiment that elevates the Pont d'Alma to such significance. The royal family has historically maintained strict protocols around sensitive sites. Ceremonial visits, public statements, and memorial services are carefully curated, designed to honor the deceased while maintaining the dignity and continuity of the monarchy. For Diana, memorials have been meticulously arranged, anniversaries observed, and media coverage controlled to reflect reverence rather than spectacle. Meghan's casual video, in stark contrast, disrupts that careful balance. To many, it is a visual intrusion, a moment where celebrity culture seems to override centuries of respect, tradition, and historical mindfulness. The bridge's location itself adds layers of complexity. The Pont Alexander III and Pont des Invalides are iconic symbols of Paris, representing grandeur, history, and architectural brilliance. Passing these bridges is an act of sightseeing, yes, but also one laden with visual storytelling. And yet, it is the Pont d'Alma that anchors the narrative, a geographic point where history and tragedy converge. Meghan's proximity to this site, coupled with her seemingly relaxed demeanor, is what has fueled speculation about intent, awareness, and the broader implications for her relationship with the royal family. It's worth considering the psychology behind why location matters so much in this context. Humans have a natural tendency to imbue places with meaning, attaching stories, memories, and emotions to geographic coordinates. The Pont d'Alma tunnel is one such place, a location that carries collective grief and remembrance. When a figure as prominent as Meghan Markle is filmed there, it is not just an image of a celebrity in a car. It is an image of someone interacting, consciously or unconsciously, with a locus of profound emotional resonance. And because royals are expected to operate with awareness of such contexts, the public reaction has been unforgiving. The timing of the video further intensifies the scrutiny. Paris Fashion Week is a global spectacle, drawing media attention from every corner of the world. Every outfit, every pose, every frame is dissected, analyzed, and shared. Meghan Markle, well aware of the media machinery around her, posted a story that instantly became public, ensuring that her actions would be seen, discussed, and critiqued on a global scale. This is not a casual stroll in an unknown street. This is a high-visibility act in one of the world's most photographed cities, at one of the most photographed events. The stakes are inherently elevated. Public reactions highlight just how much symbolic power the location holds. Social media users immediately connected the visual imagery to Diana's death. One ex-user remarked, "Every time I pass the bridges near Pont d'Alma, I can't help but remember Princess Diana." Meghan Markle's feet video just tells you how much she cares about Harry's mother. Another wrote, "For her to drive over the tunnel where Diana died, with her feet up, and film it, she needs a mental asylum. How disrespectful and low can she go?" The intensity of these responses underscores the emotional charge embedded in the location itself. It is not the video alone, but the video situated in that precise place that has ignited outrage. The reaction also illustrates the enduring influence of Princess Diana. Decades after her death, her memory commands attention, respect, and sensitivity. For the public, the Pont d'Alma is not just a street. It is a symbol of vulnerability, loss, and the consequences of fame. Meghan's interaction with that space, however fleeting, is interpreted as an act of provocation, carelessness, or even intentional disrespect. This intersection of location, history, and celebrity magnifies the stakes far beyond a normal social media post. From the perspective of royal observers, this incident also serves as a reminder of the delicate balance that members of the monarchy must maintain. Royals are constantly navigating between private life and public duty, between personal expression and institutional expectation. For someone like Meghan Markle, whose post-royal life straddles celebrity culture and residual royal identity, the margin for misstep is narrow. The Pont d'Alma video highlights just how thin that margin can be when historical and emotional contexts are involved. The family impact cannot be overstated. Prince William, as the eldest son of Diana and future king, bears a unique responsibility for safeguarding his mother's legacy. Reports suggest that he has viewed Meghan's actions with alarm, interpreting them not as an innocent lapse, but as a potential affront to memory, tradition, and protocol. Harry, too, is implicated not for his actions, but for his proximity to Meghan and his role as a mediator between personal loyalty and royal expectation. Every move by Meghan in this space has reverberations for both brothers, the public, and the institution they represent. And there's an additional layer, the global audience. People in Britain, the United States, and countries around the world are watching, reacting, and forming opinions. The Pont d'Alma tunnel is no longer just a Parisian landmark. It has become a symbol in the Meghan Markle narrative, a site that represents controversy, judgment, and the collision of personal behavior with historical reverence. Each frame of the video is interpreted as a statement, intentional or not, and that interpretation carries weight, emotion, and consequence. The tunnel also serves as a mirror, reflecting the ongoing tension between modern celebrity culture and the traditional expectations of royalty. Meghan's actions highlight the challenges faced by the royal family in a world dominated by social media, instant reporting, and global scrutiny. One misstep, or one perceived misstep, can ripple across continents, challenging the delicate equilibrium between private life and public responsibility. And so, the Pont d'Alma matters. Not just as a road, not just as a tunnel, but as a symbol of grief, history, and reverence. Meghan Markle's video became a lightning rod precisely because it intersected with that symbolic power. Every viewer, every critic, every historian now weighs not just the content of the video, but its geographic, emotional, and historical significance. And as the royal family considers how to respond, as the public reacts with a mixture of anger, disbelief, and sorrow, one thing is clear. This is no ordinary controversy. This is a confrontation with memory, legacy, and expectation. The streets of Paris have witnessed history, both tragic and triumphant. But for Meghan Markle, The Pont d'Alma represents a crossroads between personal freedom and public perception, between celebrity and royalty, between respect and controversy. And as this saga unfolds, the choices made in that limousine, the very gestures of a duchess in motion, could define relationships, reputations, and legacies for years to come. But what comes next will push the boundaries even further, and no one could have anticipated the response brewing behind palace walls. The moment Meghan Markle's limousine video surfaced online, the reaction was nothing short of explosive. Social media, the global town square of today, erupted within minutes, a storm fueled by disbelief, outrage, and heartbreak. It started quietly enough. Friends, fans, and curious onlookers sharing the video with captions like, "Did she really just?" But within hours, the floodgates opened, and what began as a clip of a duchess in Paris quickly became a lightning rod for public anger. The fury was immediate, visceral, and uncompromising. On X, formerly Twitter, thousands of users dissected every second of the video, questioning Meghan's intent, awareness, and respect for history. One post quickly went viral. For her to purposely drive over where beloved Princess Diana was in a car crash, with her feet up, and to film it, she needs a mental asylum. How disrespectful and low can she go? Another user's comment struck a more personal chord. "Every time I pass the bridges near Pont d'Alma, I can't help but remember Princess Diana." Meghan Markle's feet video just tells you how much she cares about Harry's mother. She is either a complete moron or evil, no other option. These comments were shared, retweeted, and discussed in endless loops, multiplying the outrage by the minute. It wasn't just the written commentary that fueled the fire. Memes, GIFs, and videos sprang up almost instantly, some humorous, some cruel, others outright condemnatory. Meghan's casual pose, feet up, relaxed, was juxtaposed with archival images of Diana at the Pont d'Alma Memorial, creating a stark visual contrast. Analysts quickly pointed out that the viral nature of the clip was amplified not just by Meghan's celebrity status, but by the emotionally charged context of the location. The Pont d'Alma is sacred in the eyes of the public. To many, Meghan's apparent casualness was interpreted as a reverence, even hostility, toward the memory of Diana. Across platforms, debates raged. Was this a deliberate act, a calculated provocation, or simply a moment of obliviousness? Supporters of Meghan argued that social media stories are ephemeral and that millions of people misread context all the time. Critics countered that for a woman who married into the British royal family, ignorance of history is no excuse. Every action is scrutinized, every gesture magnified, and every public appearance carries weight far beyond what most celebrities face. The stakes are higher, and the margin for error is infinitesimal. The intensity of the backlash was further fueled by historical resonance. Diana's death, more than 2 decades ago, continues to occupy a sacred place in public memory. Generations of fans, royal watchers, and ordinary citizens have cultivated a sense of personal connection to her story. Meghan's video, therefore, was interpreted not just as a social misstep, but as a symbolic affront. One commentator wrote, "Her trip to Paris proves that all the Sussexes' drama about car chases and their lives was fake. It was all for the court case. Meghan just trashed Princess Diana's memory." The anger was not merely about celebrity behavior. It was about the perceived desecration of a cultural touchstone. What makes online outrage so potent is its immediacy. Within minutes, hashtags began trending, framing the narrative. Hashtag Meghan disrespects Diana. Hashtag Pont d'Alma controversy. Hashtag Sussex scandal. Media outlets picked up the story, amplifying the reactions and quoting viral posts. Traditional journalism and social media fused, creating a feedback loop of outrage that left little room for nuance. The narrative solidified rapidly. Meghan Markle, at Paris Fashion Week, had done something indefensibly disrespectful. Emotional analysis reveals why the response was so intense. The public attachment to Diana is not merely nostalgic. It is emotional, relational, and deeply protective. Diana symbolized compassion, warmth, and human connection. Her death represented a collective loss that has never fully healed. When Meghan, a figure already polarizing in public discourse, appears near the site of that tragedy, casual or not, it triggers intense feelings of betrayal, shock, and anger. The outrage is not just about what was done. It is about what it represents, a perceived disregard for collective memory and respect. The backlash also exposed a clear divide in public perception. Supporters of Meghan defended her, suggesting the video was innocent, highlighting her work in humanitarian causes, and arguing that the public was overreacting. Critics, however, were merciless. Social media users accused her of manipulation, narcissism, and opportunism. Some even suggested mental instability, echoing extreme but widely shared sentiments online. This polarization reflects broader patterns in public discourse around Meghan Markle, a consistent oscillation between admiration and vilification, with very little middle ground. Commentary extended beyond social media posts into opinion pieces, podcasts, and televised debates. Analysts dissected the video frame by frame, assessing angles, gestures, and context. Was the video meant to provoke? Was it staged for media attention? Was Meghan simply unaware of the historical significance of the Pont d'Alma tunnel? Every possible interpretation was explored, with media outlets presenting theories, analyzing motivations, and predicting fallout. For those who study public sentiment, the incident became a textbook example of how context magnifies controversy. The same behavior in a different location, feet up in a limo during a Fashion Week parade in Milan or London, would likely have attracted mild curiosity or celebrity gossip. But at Pont d'Alma, the intersection of geography, history, and public emotion transformed a mundane act into a perceived scandal of monumental proportions. The social media storm also revealed the emotional stakes for Harry and the royal family. Every post, every retweet, every comment reflected not just public opinion, but implicit commentary on royal behavior, loyalty, and respect. Critics argued that Meghan's actions were not only disrespectful to Diana, but potentially damaging to Harry's reputation. They questioned whether he condoned the behavior, whether he was complicit in the optics, and whether this incident marked another fracture in the Sussex-Windsor relationship. Even allies of Meghan were forced into defensive positions. Influencers, commentators, and some celebrity peers attempted to contextualize the incident, suggesting that Meghan's intentions were innocent and that the outrage was disproportionate. Yet these defenses often fell short against the emotional weight carried by the location and the viral nature of social media outrage. In effect, the public narrative became almost impossible to control, highlighting the challenges of modern celebrity scrutiny, particularly when historical and emotional contexts are involved. The phenomenon of online outrage is itself a fascinating social dynamic. Rapid dissemination of emotional content, particularly images and video, creates instantaneous judgment. The public, empowered by platforms like X and Instagram, forms collective opinions at an unprecedented pace. This magnifies both real and perceived transgressions, leaving little room for measured analysis. Meghan's video became the perfect storm. A visual narrative, historical significance, and a polarizing public figure all converged to ignite the fury. And the fallout extended beyond social media. News outlets in the UK, US, and across Europe reported the incident with sensational headlines, framing the story as a blatant affront to Diana's memory. Television panels debated the implications, experts weighed in on royal protocol, and cultural commentators questioned the ethics of posting such content near a site of historical tragedy. The video, originally a few seconds in a limousine, now dominated international news cycles, turning a fleeting moment into a sustained controversy. But it wasn't just outrage for outrage's sake. Many online critics tied the incident to broader concerns about Meghan Markle's behavior and the Sussex's public strategy. They suggested that this video reflected a pattern of provocative or calculated actions designed to maintain media attention and narrative control. The optics of the video, luxury, leisure, nonchalance, clashed with the solemnity of the Pont d'Alma, creating a tension between image and history that the public could not ignore. And yet, questions remain. Did Meghan intend to provoke? Was this an unthinking moment? How aware was she of the tunnel's historical significance? These questions circulate not only in public forums, but inside the walls of the royal family. For William, Harry, and other senior royals, the video is not just an online sensation. It is a potential breach of decorum, a test of loyalty, and a reminder of the delicate balance between personal freedom and royal expectation. The online fury, intense as it was, also served to reinforce Diana's enduring legacy. The passionate responses, the protective commentary, and the emotional reactions all underscore the continued resonance of Diana's story. The very fact that Meghan's video could provoke such a strong reaction decades after Diana's death is a testament to the princess's enduring influence. As the online storm raged, it became clear that this was more than a social media incident. It was a public reckoning. Every frame, every gesture, every interpretation carried weight. The narrative solidified. Meghan Markle, whether intentionally or not, had ignited a controversy that challenged public memory, royal decorum, and media narratives simultaneously. The question now is, how will the royal family respond? How will Meghan respond? How will Harry navigate the fallout? Social media outrage may be instantaneous, but the consequences unfold slowly, measured in statements, actions, and decisions behind palace walls. And as the world waits for the next development, one thing is clear. The online fury has set the stage for a confrontation that could escalate far beyond the digital realm. But what came next would bring the royal family into the public spotlight, and nothing would ever look the same. The royal family rarely comments on controversies involving its members, especially when the drama originates outside official duties. They operate in a world measured by centuries of tradition, where every word, gesture, and public statement is meticulously weighed. Yet, Meghan Markle's limousine video at Paris Fashion Week, with its casual display near the Pont d'Alma tunnel, forced a response, a rare instance where silence was no longer an option. Behind the palace walls, the atmosphere was tense, the discussions urgent, and the stakes higher than many outsiders could comprehend. According to insiders, Prince William, as Diana's eldest son and the future king, was particularly vocal. Sources close to the palace indicated that he viewed the video not as a harmless social media post, but as a potential affront to his mother's memory. In private meetings, he reportedly expressed frustration over what he saw as a lack of respect, both for Princess Diana and for the institution he is set to inherit. Some accounts suggest strong language was used, describing Meghan's actions as vile, disrespectful, and even manipulative. While these words have not been formally confirmed, their circulation in media and social commentary underscores the seriousness with which the incident was regarded internally. For the royal family, the issue was not just emotional, it was procedural. Royals operate under a system of protocol, hierarchy, and precedent. Public behavior is not a private matter. It reflects on the institution itself. When a member of the family, or someone married into it, engages in behavior perceived as disrespectful, the repercussions extend far beyond personal feelings. They influence public perception, media narratives, and even international relations. Meghan's limousine video, amplified by social media, posed precisely this challenge. A private act made public, interpreted in multiple ways, and now demanding careful navigation by palace advisors. The palace, known for its cautious communication strategy, reportedly convened emergency discussions with senior officials and advisors to evaluate potential responses. Options range from issuing a formal statement denouncing the act, to quietly advising Meghan through private channels, to leveraging legal counsel to address any perceived breaches of protocol. The key concern was balancing the need for a measured response with the public's appetite for clarity, accountability, and reassurance that the royal family honors Diana's memory. Prince William's reportedly firm stance reflects more than personal grief. It embodies the responsibility of a future monarch. His approach is grounded in centuries of precedent. The monarchy is an institution where respect for history, decorum, and public trust must be maintained at all times. Any action or inaction in response to Meghan's video carries weight, shaping both his image and the perception of the monarchy itself. In this context, a decisive response was not optional, it was necessary. Prince Harry, for his part, occupies a more complex position. As Diana's younger son and Meghan's husband, he is caught between loyalty to his family and advocacy for his wife. Sources suggest that Harry is aware of the backlash, but has chosen a cautious approach, possibly to avoid further fueling public anger or creating a media spectacle. Yet his silence is also interpreted in multiple ways. Some see it as tacit support for Meghan, while others view it as indecision or failure to mediate. This delicate balancing act illustrates the pressures of navigating family dynamics, media scrutiny, and public expectations simultaneously. The palace's internal deliberations reportedly focused on three main questions. Was Meghan aware of the significance of the Pont d'Alma tunnel? Did the video constitute a breach of protocol or decorum? And what actions could be taken to safeguard both Diana's legacy and the monarchy's public image? Each question required careful consideration, weighing legal implications, public sentiment, and the potential fallout for the Sussexes. Advisors also reportedly reviewed historical precedents for similar situations. The monarchy has a long history of navigating scandals, missteps, and public criticism, often employing a combination of quiet diplomacy, measured statements, and, when necessary, public clarification. In Meghan's case, the challenge was amplified by her unique status. A former royal who now straddles the line between celebrity and monarchy, with an amplified media presence and a fiercely engaged global audience. While the public focuses on outrage and commentary, the palace operates in a more strategic dimension. Every potential statement, whether private or public, is analyzed for tone, implications, and potential unintended consequences. A misstep could be interpreted as favoritism, inconsistency, or weakness. The royal family's reputation, painstakingly built over centuries, requires careful navigation, and Meghan's video created precisely the kind of scenario where miscalculation could have lasting repercussions. Reports suggest that the royal family's response, while not yet formalized, may include restricting the use of certain royal titles. Discussions reportedly centered on whether Meghan's behavior, viewed as disrespectful or provocative, could influence her privileges, including formal titles and the use of the Mountbatten-Windsor name. In extreme scenarios, advisors indicated that if Harry were to divorce Meghan, she could revert to using the surname Markle, effectively separating her from formal royal association. This reflects centuries of precedent where the use of titles is conditional on behavior, adherence to protocol, and marital status. The royal family also faced the challenge of public perception. In an era of instant communication, social media outrage is a powerful force. Silence can be interpreted as tacit approval. A statement can be scrutinized for tone, wording, and intent. Palace advisors reportedly debated the best approach to mitigate criticism while preserving dignity, both for Diana's legacy and for the institution itself. Options included a formal press release, private counsel to Meghan, or a combined approach that balances discretion with accountability. Meanwhile, media analysts speculated on the potential implications. Some suggested that Prince William's reported frustration could escalate to formal actions regarding titles, patronages, or public engagements. Others posited that Harry's position as Meghan's advocate could strain relationships further, creating a public narrative of discord within the family. Every angle, every gesture, every statement is now under scrutiny, and the palace is acutely aware of the need to manage optics carefully. The response is also shaped by precedent and public sensitivity. The royal family has consistently emphasized respect for Diana's memory, with careful management of anniversaries, memorials, and public statements. Meghan's video, perceived by some as a breach of this respect, threatens to undermine decades of carefully curated remembrance. The tension is not only emotional, but institutional. How does a monarchy maintain authority, relevance, and dignity when a high-profile member behaves in ways perceived as disrespectful? Public reaction continues to pressure the palace. Headlines scream, social media debates rage, and influencers dissect every potential motive. The royal family must navigate these waters delicately, balancing the desire to uphold dignity with the risk of appearing reactive or punitive. In doing so, they demonstrate the complexities of modern monarchy, an institution bound by tradition, yet operating in a world dominated by instantaneous communication, celebrity culture, and global scrutiny. Advisors reportedly emphasized that any direct confrontation with Meghan could have unintended consequences, including further media escalation, legal challenges, or public sympathy for her. Yet ignoring the incident entirely could be interpreted as complicity or weakness, potentially eroding public trust. The stakes are unprecedented, highlighting the intersection of personal dynamics, public expectation, and historical responsibility that defines royal life in the 21st century. The royal family's deliberations also consider the broader implications for Harry. As Meghan's husband, he is implicated by association. His choices, his silence, and his support all influence public perception and internal family dynamics. Observers note that Harry's position is precarious. Any action or statement could be interpreted as loyalty, defiance, or neutrality, each with distinct consequences for his reputation, relationships, and legacy. The question of titles looms large. Royals use titles to signify rank, responsibility, and affiliation with the institution. Reports suggest that Prince William's advisors are exploring options to restrict Meghan's privileges, reflecting the principle that titles are conditional on adherence to protocol and behavior that upholds the dignity of the monarchy. In extreme scenarios, Meghan could revert to using her maiden name, Markle, signaling a formal distancing from the royal fold. The stakes, therefore, are not merely symbolic. They are tangible, affecting legal, social, and reputational status. At the same time, the royal family must contend with international scrutiny. Media outlets worldwide are covering the incident, analyzing palace responses, and speculating on implications for the monarchy. Every statement, tweet, or leak is amplified, dissected, and contextualized against centuries of royal tradition. The incident in Paris, while geographically distant, has global consequences for perception, diplomacy, and institutional integrity. As palace advisors weigh options, the larger question looms: how will Meghan Markle navigate this scrutiny? Will she acknowledge the sensitivity of the Pont d'Alma tunnel? Will she offer a statement of respect or maintain silence? Each choice carries implications not only for her reputation but for Harry, the royal family, and public perception of the monarchy itself. The royal family's response, though largely behind closed doors, sets the stage for what may be the most consequential chapter in this ongoing saga. Decisions regarding protocol, titles, and public statements will reverberate for months, potentially influencing relationships, media narratives, and historical interpretation. Meghan's video, once a fleeting Instagram story, has become a catalyst for reflection, debate, and potential action within one of the world's most storied institutions. And as palace officials deliberate, the world waits. Social media continues to buzz, headlines multiply, and commentators speculate on the next move. The royal family, for its part, must balance private grief, historical reverence, and public accountability. In doing so, they remind us that monarchy is not just about ceremony and pageantry. It is about navigating complex human relationships, expectations, and the ever-present weight of history. But what came next would test loyalties, provoke decisions, and shake the foundations of both the Sussexes' world and the royal family itself. And no one was prepared for the fallout. Has Meghan Markle ever truly escaped controversy? From the moment she entered the royal family, she has been a lightning rod for debate, analysis, and media scrutiny. Every gesture, every word, every photograph has been dissected with a magnifying glass, as if nothing she does can exist in isolation. The limousine video at Paris Fashion Week is not an isolated incident. It is the latest chapter in a long history of public actions that have polarized opinion and intensified scrutiny. To understand the public reaction, we need to trace Meghan's trajectory. Before marrying Prince Harry, she was already a global figure, actress, activist, and social media-savvy personality. She understood the power of public perception, the influence of media narratives, and the potential of carefully curated imagery. But entering the royal family introduced her to a completely different set of rules, expectations, and limitations. Suddenly, every decision was not just a personal choice. It was a reflection on centuries of monarchy. Every outfit, every public appearance, and every statement carried historical, cultural, and emotional weight. From her first public engagements with Harry, Meghan was under scrutiny. Admirers praised her poise, elegance, and charitable initiatives. Critics, however, questioned her motives, her approach to tradition, and her adherence to protocol. As time went on, this scrutiny intensified. High-profile interviews, social media posts, and public appearances were all dissected for hidden meaning. Allegations of narcissism, manipulation, and attempts to reshape royal norms became recurring themes in media coverage. Each headline added another layer to a growing narrative. Meghan as a controversial figure, someone whose actions consistently generated debate, whether deserved or not. The Paris Fashion Week video fits into this pattern. While seemingly minor, a limousine ride captured in a short Instagram story, it resonates because it aligns with previous controversies. Meghan has often been accused of blurring the lines between celebrity and royalty, using media platforms to control narratives and crafting public personas that sometimes clash with traditional expectations. Critics argue that this behavior, intentional or otherwise, is consistent with a long-standing approach to publicity, maintaining visibility, shaping perception, and navigating the public eye in ways that amplify personal influence. Consider some of the past controversies. Meghan's decision to take part in high-profile interviews, including the globally broadcast Oprah Winfrey special, sparked widespread debate. Her accounts of personal challenges, familial conflicts, and experiences within the royal family were celebrated by some as courageous transparency, but condemned by others as opportunistic, damaging, and potentially disrespectful. Every revelation was analyzed, critiqued, and contextualized, reinforcing a pattern where her personal narrative often collided with public expectations of discretion and loyalty. Social media has magnified this effect. Every post, story, or comment by Meghan reaches millions instantly, creating a feedback loop of admiration and criticism. Platforms like Instagram, X, and TikTok allow for rapid dissemination of both support and outrage. The Paris limousine video demonstrates the power of this loop. What might have been a fleeting private moment instantly became a global spectacle, scrutinized from multiple perspectives and interpreted in ways that ranged from innocent to provocative. The pattern is also evident in public appearances. Meghan's choices of attire, her gestures, her interactions with the press. Each element is magnified, dissected, and often reframed. Observers point to moments where perceived breaches of protocol, intentional or not, have fueled speculation about her priorities, her awareness, and her respect for tradition. The Paris video is the latest in a series of instances where small gestures, amplified by context and media attention, spark intense debate. Critics argue that Meghan's pattern is characterized by intentional provocation. They suggest that her actions are often calculated to maintain visibility, assert independence, or challenge traditional norms. Defenders counter that she is simply navigating a complex and unprecedented role, blending personal expression with inherited responsibility, and that misinterpretation is inevitable in a world of instant commentary and global scrutiny. The truth, as always, may lie somewhere in between, but the public narrative has solidified around the perception of a pattern. Meghan, intentionally or not, sparks controversy wherever she goes. The emotional resonance of these controversies cannot be understated. For supporters of Princess Diana, Meghan's actions often intersect with sensitive historical narratives. Every perceived breach of respect, whether in words or gestures, is magnified by the ongoing reverence for Diana's memory. The Paris video, by placing Meghan near the site of Diana's death, amplified these emotions exponentially. Critics framed the video as a continuation of a pattern where Meghan's actions clash with collective memory, tradition, and public expectation. Yet Meghan's pattern of controversy is not limited to gestures perceived as disrespectful. It extends to media interactions, philanthropic initiatives, and personal branding. Her approach to publicity often blends advocacy with visibility, sometimes blurring the line between personal narrative and institutional expectation. This approach has yielded both praise and criticism, reinforcing the idea that Meghan's public persona is inherently complex, polarizing, and often misunderstood. Analysts note that her pattern reflects a broader tension between modern celebrity culture and traditional monarchy. Meghan operates in a world dominated by social media, instant news cycles, and global audiences. The royal family, by contrast, operates within centuries of protocol, tradition, and structured communication. The collision of these two paradigms often results in moments of friction, where actions that are routine in one context become controversial in another. The Paris limousine video is a prime example. In the celebrity world, casual footage is commonplace. In the royal context, the same footage can trigger outrage, interpretation, and institutional concern. This pattern also affects Harry. As Meghan's husband, he is implicated in both perception and action. Critics often view his support of Meghan as tacit approval of controversial behavior, while supporters argue that he is simply advocating for his wife in a complex and hostile environment. The pattern of controversy surrounding Meghan inevitably casts shadows on Harry, highlighting the intertwined nature of their public identities and the consequences of their choices. What makes the pattern particularly potent is the cumulative effect. Each incident, each perceived misstep, each controversy adds weight to public perception. The Paris video is not an isolated act. It is interpreted as part of a series of moments that collectively shape narratives about Meghan's character, intentions, and relationship with both tradition and the royal family. The emotional and historical context magnifies the significance of each act, reinforcing the perception of a deliberate or consistent approach to behavior that challenges expectation. Yet the pattern is not purely negative. Meghan's visibility and willingness to engage with media have allowed her to advocate for causes, influence social discourse, and maintain a platform that is uniquely her own. The same attributes that generate controversy also generate influence, drawing attention to initiatives in women's empowerment, mental health, and social justice. This duality, admiration and criticism, respect and outrage, defines the complex landscape in which Meghan operates, where each action carries the potential for both praise and condemnation.